At Ethan's birthday party, his childhood friend drew the most humiliating and strange dare in the game. Confess her love to the ugliest and most withdrawn boy in school. She looked up, her eyes pleading and nervous. Ethan, I don't want to. So Ethan pointed at me. Then you do it. Emma. Chapter 01. I cut the cake into pieces and put them on small plates. When I carried them out from the kitchen, the game had already started. They didn't wait for me. Not that it mattered. I comforted myself. After all, it was Ethan's 20th birthday, and everyone there was his good friends and close buddies. To say the least, they were all affluent second-generation rich kids, part of the upper-class circle in North City. Honestly, I wasn't close to any of them. They were playing their own game, which was normal, I supposed. So, I found a stool and sat in the corner. The game was simple, truth or dare. The bottle spun on the table, and whoever it pointed to would have to face a penalty. I watched for a while, and honestly found it quite dull. I just yawned, about to sneak a piece of cake. Suddenly, everyone erupted in excitement. "Aw, it's finally Lisa's turn. Lisa, you should pick the truth. I already know what I'm going to ask," they teased. Glancing at Lisa and Ethan, someone even whistled. But Lisa shook her head. No. She reached over and drew a card from the white pile on the table. "I choose dare." Before she even finished her sentence, it got caught in her throat. The atmosphere seemed to freeze for a moment, until someone stood up, walked over, and read it out loud. Confess to the ugliest and most unapproachable classmate at school. Chapter 02. Who's the ugliest? Someone shouted. The academy is so big. That's kind of hard to determine. But someone else rubbed his chin, suggesting, "Isn't it that Hudson guy who's just returned from overseas?" Hudson. I knew him. He had just enrolled, but no one had seen him yet. Rumor had it that he had an accident earlier and had gone to the US for treatment. Later, he continued studying online and even participated in a few notable overseas projects. He was supposed to return in a few days. His academic performance was great, but for some reason, there were rumors that he was aloof, unfriendly, and difficult to deal with, and supposedly, very ugly, with scars on his face, a really frightening kind of look. Someone like that, how could Lisa possibly be willing to confess? She lifted her head at that moment, and looked at Ethan, who was sitting next to her. Ethan, the voice was fragile and helpless. It seemed like she was falling apart. "I don't want to do it. I don't want to confess to anyone else." The words sounded ambiguous. Ethan sat on the sofa, where the light couldn't reach him. He seemed to be covered in shadows. He put down his phone, his long legs lifting slightly. He smiled lightly, his lips curving. Forget it." Then, Master Ethan's words calmed the tension instantly. Someone began to smooth things over. "Yeah, it's just a game. Why be so serious? How could Lisa be made to confess to that jinx?" Murmurs of disagreement scattered through the room. But suddenly, why should she get a pass? With a loud bang, a girl sitting across from them slammed the table. She was Lisa's arch-rival at school. She shouted. Wasn't she the one who said, at the beginning of the game, that no one could escape the dare? No backing out at the last minute? Why does she get special treatment? Chapter 03. The girl's voice was particularly loud. She stood up, furious. "No way. I'm not accepting this. Everyone else has done their dare. Lisa, here's the deal. Either tomorrow you go confess to Hudson, or you find someone here to replace you. Either works." Lisa bit her lip. She wanted to argue back, but she had nothing to say. After all, she had indeed said at the start that those who couldn't handle the game shouldn't hang out with them again. Now, it was she who was trying to back out. But aside from this girl and Lisa, the rest of the group was all boys. Who could she possibly ask? She tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Ethan, say something." Ethan, still being held by her, wore an indifferent expression. His gaze drifted over the crowd. Slowly, it landed on me. A bad feeling suddenly crept over me. No way. "Ethan, are you really going to do this?" Chapter 04. Emma. Finally, he spoke my name. His voice was careless and arrogant. Lisa doesn't want to do it, so you do it for her. He seemed certain that the tag-along, wouldn't refuse. I clenched my fingers. This was the final task. 2 years ago, my boyfriend Leo took a plane to go abroad. Both of us had grown up in an orphanage. We had depended on each other, childhood sweethearts. But that plane had an accident and disappeared into the sea. I cried the entire night. The next day, I was bound to this strange system. It told me, Ethan is the male lead in this story. And now there's a role for a pitiful simp supporting character that needs filling. As long as I stay by his side, fulfill his demands and orders. Once it's over, my wish will be granted, to bring him back. But honestly, this final task is quite annoying. On one hand, confessing is something that should be genuine. It shouldn't be part of a trick. Moreover, what if he really does come back? What would he think if the first thing he saw was me confessing to someone else? Unfortunately, the system didn't give me the option to refuse. All I could do was lift my head, trying my best to speak in a calm voice, and ask, but what if I don't want to confess either? So, Ethan threw the question back at me, as if what I thought was completely insignificant. Does what you think matter? Yeah. Does it matter? I nodded. After a long while, I slowly stood up. All right, I'll do it for Lisa. As soon as I finished speaking, the system's voice echoed in my mind. Task number 99 has begun. Upon completion, the system will automatically terminate the bond between the host and the male lead. Ethan, good luck and success. Chapter 05. Almost at the same time as the system's voice, was Ethan's indifferent response. All right, then. Best of luck. The circle of friends sitting around us all showed amused expressions. Many laughed. Emma, the guy is so ugly, can you even bring yourself to say it? If Hudson says yes, you can't back out. Let's make a group chat to supervise your relationship. Ha ha ha. What a wicked idea. In the past 2 years by Ethan's side, I had no title, no status. Everyone thought I was just the young master's little tail, always on call, ready to serve. Now, I even had to confess on behalf of his true love. How pitiful. But God knows, no one felt more relieved at that moment than I did. So I kept a calm face, listening to their taunts, until they seemed to run out of words. I also got bored and was ready to turn and leave. But Lisa called after me. Emma, she said. I'm really sorry for the trouble. Then, she reached out her hand, handing me something. Take this back with you. It was the birthday gift I had given her, a jar of paper stars. Come to think of it, Ethan was the one who had asked me for it. During an English class when we were watching a movie, there was a scene. The heroine folded a star and said to the male lead with a smile, "They say if you give this to someone, the star will bless us to be together forever." At that moment, Ethan suddenly leaned in. Emma, give me a jar of them. That was the 98th request. It wasn't that hard. But to me, the paper stars had a special meaning. I tilted my head and glanced at him. I said okay as I took them. After all, as long as I completed the task, it was fine, whether he wanted it or not. I didn't really want to give it in the first place. All right, maybe you can use it for tomorrow's confession. I didn't believe in things like together forever. But Ethan suddenly looked up. He lifted his gaze, watching me intently, unblinking, as if trying to figure out whether I meant it or not. Unfortunately, after the confession, I would have nothing more to do with him. That part was not a lie. Chapter 06. Hudson's plane arrived ahead of schedule. The news came from the counselor in the class group chat. It seemed that he had heard some troubling rumors in advance, as he added a note. This afternoon, at the grade-level professional meeting, I will formally introduce Hudson. Our school's atmosphere is serious and upright. We do not want to see any incidents of bullying or exclusion. After the notification was posted, one of Ethan's friends really created a small group chat and added me to it. Emma, Hudson is going to register soon. Are you ready? How about confessing at the grade meeting? What do you think? I heard he's super ugly. Just bear with it for now. Ha ha ha. Clearly, the group was temporarily created just to watch the show. Those rich second-generation guys from the elite circle had their own social networks. Their chat groups never included me before. This was the first time. And the only reason was to gossip, to talk behind people's backs, to share the drama. Even a few hours later that afternoon, Lisa herself posted a status on her moments. First professional meeting, do your best. She even tagged me. Everyone who had participated in the game that day flooded the comments. Do your best. Do your best. The post attracted many people who didn't know what was happening. What's going on? Can someone explain? What did I miss? She probably thought that, by making such a big fuss, there was no way for me to back out at the last moment. With such a commotion, everyone was now looking forward to the meeting that afternoon. Even before class began, someone stood up and looked out into the hallway, then turned back to relay the news. The counselor's coming. There's a guy following behind him. Black clothes. Looks pretty tall. His face. Someone called my name. It was one of Ethan's friends. Hudson's here. Go on. He spoke loudly. I flinched and turned back, annoyed. Ethan was sitting in the back row, looking at me with a half smile. His lips moved slightly, as if saying, "You can still back out now, Emma." In that confusing moment, Lisa gave me a push. I stumbled forward, and ended up falling into the guy who had just entered. He was wearing a black wool coat, tall, with a faint scent of pine. There was something oddly familiar about him. The counselor's voice came from nearby. This is Hudson, the new student who just returned from overseas. Chapter 07. Hudson. A metallic ding echoed in my mind, a reminder from the system about my task. It wasn't supposed to be that hard, just a simple confession. Afterward, I could sincerely apologize for the deception, but when I looked up, the words I had prepared got stuck in my throat. I couldn't speak for a long time. The person in front of me looked down at me. He wore thin gold-rimmed glasses, with a high nose bridge, and a small red mole under his right eye. He was back, the person I had waited for so long. So this is what it feels like to reunite after a long time. A rush of panic, a sense of being lost. My mind went blank, my fingers stiff. The counselor stood beside us, looking over curiously. Emma, what's wrong? Behind me, I could feel the curious gazes of my classmates. I knew I must look very strange right now, but I couldn't stop the tears from falling. I said, "I've missed you so much." Hudson reached out, gently placing his hand on the back of my head. He pulled me toward him, held me in his arms. "Sorry, I'm late." His voice was still the same, gentle and deep. "Emma, do you still love me?" My muffled voice came out. "What do you think?" No matter if you're called Hudson or Leo, feelings like these, they're not that easy to change. In my mind, the system's final voice echoed. Congratulations to the host for completing the simp supporting character task. Wishing you, in the life ahead, to be accompanied by your love, braving the winds and waves, pressing forward. Chapter 08. The name Hudson, like a sudden rainstorm, it spread rapidly throughout the school. On the forum, someone even started a special thread. There was a public outcry about who had spread the rumor that the returning transfer student was hideously ugly, like a monster. Attached was a side photo of Hudson. He was coming out of the library, carrying a shoulder bag. The sunlight fell on him, half in light and half in shadow. Look at this. If this is ugly, then 99.9% of the guys in the school are not worth looking at. Okay? So handsome. So handsome. HNNNGG. Damn. Only Ethan from their major can compare, right? Why do all the good-looking guys study finance? Anyone got insider info? Does he have a girlfriend? Someone even posted a photo from the grade meeting, the one where I had bumped into Hudson. Starting a new thread. Forget about it. This guy confessed on his first day here, and he said yes. The girl is a classmate. You guys are too late. Love at first sight was never reliable. Especially since I used to always follow behind Ethan, it seemed even stranger now. A lot of people commented, saying we wouldn't last a week. Others mocked. Hudson's just interested because Emma looks decent. Probably just playing around. Give it up. You might as well bet on when Emma will get dumped. After experiencing so much hostility and exclusion, I'd become immune to these words. I scrolled for a while and then tossed my phone aside. I didn't care. And I knew Hudson wouldn't care either if he saw it. We grew up together, with enough trust in each other. I looked up. He was standing right beside me. Hudson was holding my hand, standing at the convenience store outside the library, looking around like a kid. Emma, do you remember these little things? When we were in the orphanage, weren't they like treasures to us? We both laughed. Since the confession, we had been practically inseparable these past 2 days, going to classes together, visiting the library, eating at the cafeteria. Maybe we were too lovey-dovey. That's why news of our relationship spread so fast on campus. I leaned over, rested on his arm to look. It was just some small stickers, plushies, and the like. In the corner was a jar of paper stars. Back at the orphanage, there were very few caretakers. The kids had to learn to take care of themselves from a young age. On birthdays, there were no cakes. Leo and I would fold star after star from paper slips, making wishes. I wished to get into college. I wished to make lots and lots of money in the future. I wish for Leo and Emma to be together forever. Life was simple then, but it was pure. Hudson handed the change to the shopkeeper. Can I get 2 strips of colored paper for folding stars? Chapter 09. I couldn't help but laugh. Why are you so childish? Hudson, however, remained serious, just like before. He put the star he folded into my palm and took mine. Carefully, he put it in his pocket. Then he suddenly leaned over, getting close to me. His gentle breath brushed against my face. His fingers traced my cheek. Emma, don't move away. His kiss fell, quiet and gentle, like the stars on a winter night. Afterward, I realized Hudson had sneakily taken a photo. I lunged at him, trying to hit him. Are you crazy? What's there to take a photo of? He smiled, looking a little mischievous. I need to mark my territory, he said. He had seen the comments on the forum too. Even though he knew they were nonsense, he still wanted to prove them wrong. We're not love at first sight. We're childhood sweethearts. He posted 2 photos, one of our kisses under the night sky, one of the 2 stars in our palms. He only wrote one line. We won't break up. We'll be together forever. Chapter 10. After Hudson dropped me off at the dorm, I collapsed onto my bed, closed my eyes. Considering Hudson's popularity on campus now, I knew the photos he posted would definitely end up screenshotted and on the campus forum. Every year, the school would have a few standout personalities. I never thought, one day, that title would fall on the person I grew up with. I was about to fall asleep, but suddenly, my phone rang, drowsy. I answered it. It was an unfamiliar number. Emma, Ethan's not feeling well. Could you come pick him up? That voice. It took me a while, but I finally remembered. It was one of Ethan's friends. Some rich kid who had also attended his birthday party that day. Ridiculous. I was completely baffled. Doesn't he have parents or friends? Family, teachers, counselors. Why call me? There was silence on the other end. Then the voice softened. But he's been calling your name. I hung up immediately, but I didn't expect Ethan's friends to actually drive over and drop him off at my dorm. And they sent me a message. Come down, or we might just find your counselor tonight. Their tone was as annoying as always. I really didn't want to deal with this, but it was already 10 at night. There was only half an hour left before the dorm building would close. My roommates had a habit of going to bed early. 2 of them were already lying down with face masks on. I really didn't want to disturb them because of my own issues. After thinking it over, I put on a coat and went downstairs. It was winter. The weather was already very cold. Ethan was alone. He stood under the dim streetlight, wearing a gray trench coat, his head lowered, turning a silver lighter in his right hand. A red flame flickered on and off. It cast light over his sharp profile. Hearing footsteps, he looked up, turned his gaze toward me. I wasn't sure if it was just my imagination, but his eyes looked fragile, confused, even a little sad. Emma, it's just a game. Was it really worth being so serious? Chapter 11. Ethan was much taller than me. He took slow steps toward me, casting a heavy shadow over me. A faint smell of alcohol, He had definitely drunk a lot. Even his gaze was somewhat muddled, not clear. He took out his phone and scrolled through it. Then he held the screen out in front of me. It was a screenshot from Hudson's Moments. A photo of us embracing and kissing under the night sky. He tugged at the corner of his lips. Emma, do you even understand what a game is? Why act like this? Acting? Ethan, since when did you become so pathetic? I looked at him coldly, sighed and explained. You're mistaken. Hudson and I aren't like you think. I genuinely, but before I could finish, he suddenly leaned in. His left hand covered my mouth, as if trying to force my words back. His right hand dropped his phone. Both thumbs pressed down hard, crazily rubbing against my lips, as if suppressing some kind of emotion. Enough. You're really sick. It was just a bet. And you let him kiss you? Emma, are you stupid? Tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I'll tell Hudson everything. Tell him this was all just a lie. Those last words, he almost shouted out. His eyes were slightly red, staring at me without blinking. I broke free, swatted his hand away, asked, challenging him, wasn't the idea of confessing on Lisa's behalf something you suggested? Ethan, what are you pretending to care about now? Chapter 12. He seemed stunned by the question, both hands clenched into fists, then slowly lowered. I glanced at the time. It was almost 10:30. The dorm supervisor auntie leaned out of the hallway and shouted, "Mind the time. We're about to close the doors. Boyfriends and girlfriends, stop getting all lovey-dovey." Ethan's face seemed to flush slightly, but I wasn't interested in thinking too much about it. I tightened my coat and turned to leave. Emma! He called my name. I turned back, annoyed. The jar of stars you gave me on my birthday. You didn't give it to someone else, did you? Clearly, he had seen the second photo Hudson posted on Moments, so he came to confirm it, cautiously. No, I answered bluntly. I deliberately ignored the way his expression seemed to relax at that moment. How could I give Hudson a second-hand gift? The stars I originally gave you? I threw them out as soon as I got back after the birthday party. Back in my dorm bed, I picked up my phone. Today's sudden incident reminded me of a lot of things. About the confession during Truth or Dare, I had originally planned to apologize to the person immediately, but after realizing it was Leo, who came back from the dead, I forgot about it, letting it drag on. And those friends of Ethan, they're truly unbearable. It would be best not to contact them again. I opened WeChat, found the group that someone had pulled me into back then, clicked in. Over 99 notifications popped up, filling the screen with chat logs. Without even looking, I left the group. Then I sent a message to Hudson. Can we meet tomorrow? He wasn't asleep. He replied quickly. Of course. Tomorrow's your 20th birthday. I was planning to wish you at exactly midnight. What kind of gift do you want? Or should I plan a surprise? Oh, so tomorrow is my birthday. I had forgotten. Chapter 13. Ethan. After Emma confessed to Hudson, she didn't contact me for several days. That had never happened before. There were rumors in school that the two of them were really together. Even that temporary chat group, originally set up to mock Emma, had people starting to ship them. Could it be love at first sight? Wow. Didn't we end up doing a good deed? Ha ha ha. Honestly, Hudson does look pretty good. Has Emma really given up on Ethan? Comments like these. I read a few and didn't want to continue. A rare sense of irritation and anxiety weighed on my heart. Could Emma really fall for someone so easily? She used to always follow behind me, no matter what I asked her to do. She never seemed to argue. Stubborn, yet obedient. Until Hudson's damn Moments post shattered everything. I was at a bar at the time. A few days earlier, I had just taken over the company's management from my father. The group of friends around me were discussing celebrating for me. The atmosphere was lively. Your family's business is getting bigger and bigger. Once Changhe Industries returns to the country, it'll be you two leading companies fighting for the top spot in North City. Changhe Industries? The founder is so old. And after his eldest son died, there isn't even an heir. How can they compare to Ethan's family? No, you haven't heard the latest. Have you? Apparently, there's a second son, who got lost when he was young, and now they've found him. Random chatter, noisy and chaotic. A friend saw me sitting alone in the corner. He came over and patted me on the shoulder. Ethan, there's something interesting. Want to see? He held the screen in front of me, laughing softly. Never thought Emma seemed so innocent. But she's playing it big. The angle of the photo was dim, but I could tell instantly. That girl, looking up, long hair draped over her shoulders, hugging someone, was Emma. In an instant, it felt like I heard a loud crash, and the string that had been tightly wound in my head finally snapped. My ears buzzed. Even my fingers couldn't help but tremble slightly. What is this? I stood up abruptly, grabbing my friend by the collar, shouting, "What the hell is this?" In the bar, many people turned to look our way. The owner knew us, quickly coming over to smooth things out. My friend, being pulled up by me, looked at me in disbelief. After a while, he shook his head. "Ethan, you put Emma and Hudson together. Don't tell me you regret it now?" he said, word by word. "Isn't this just your own doing?" "Yeah." I slumped back down, poured myself another glass of alcohol. My friend glanced at me and eventually still went to call Emma. Of course, she didn't come. I smiled self-deprecatingly. It seemed she really didn't want me anymore. After hesitating for a moment, my friend still tried to comfort me. "Ethan, don't be like this. I think Emma's a serious girl. She wouldn't just fall for someone over looks." I pulled myself together suddenly. Yeah, Emma and Hudson had only known each other for a few days. She was just mad at me, but I still couldn't shake the unease. After coming back from the girls' dormitory, I kept tossing and turning, wanting to learn more about her past. I knew Emma's parents passed away when she was very young. She grew up in an orphanage in the suburbs. The orphanage still exists. So, the next morning, I drove there. I met a woman in her 50s. She had worked there for over 30 years. When I mentioned Emma's name, she thought for a moment, then nodded. "Oh, her, the girl who got into college 2 years ago." She looked me up and down, finally stopping her gaze on the watch on my right wrist. 7 figures, globally limited edition. Her tone instantly became enthusiastic. "Come in, young man. There are lots of her photos in the archive room. When she first came to the orphanage, she looked sad every day. Then in elementary school, she tied her hair in 2 braids. Later, in middle and high school, she gradually grew into a graceful young woman. She learned to dress up, do her makeup, and choose beautiful dresses. Before I knew it, a smile had appeared on my face. Turning to the last photo, it was a group photo of all the kids leaving the orphanage that year. Emma was standing in the middle. Beside her was a tall, skinny boy, short hair, thin-rimmed glasses, a small red mole under his right eye. Damn it, it was Hudson. The woman glanced at my expression, cautiously. She said, "Young man, you wouldn't happen to be Emma's boyfriend, would you?" I froze, unconsciously swallowed. "Yes," she said. "Oh, the one next to her. He was Emma's first love. But you don't need to worry, because Leo, he's already dead." Dead. I turned my head mechanically. She continued talking. "He died in a plane accident. I heard he was rushing back to attend his girlfriend's birthday and even changed his flight for it." My mind felt like mush. If the person in the photo no longer existed, then who was the person I saw at school? A replacement? So, Emma, was it really because of that face that she got together with him? Love at first sight? I clenched my right hand and thought in a daze, what about Hudson? Is he willing to be a shadow of a dead person? If I told him, would he still be willing to stay? Chapter 14, Emma. Since Leo's plane accident, I hadn't celebrated my birthday for the past 2 years. Besides, apart from him, it didn't seem like anyone else remembered such a day. Hudson reserved a private room at a Cantonese restaurant. He went to pick up the cake first. I went up alone. I had just sat down when I received a text message from an unfamiliar number. I went to the orphanage. "Break up with him, please?" No signature, but it was obvious. Ethan. That maniac. I deleted it immediately, blocked the number, Hudson happened to come in just then, carrying a huge cake. There was no way the two of us could finish it. If we can't finish it, just take it back and share it with your roommates. He smiled, his tone gentle, whether in the past or now. He was always so considerate and meticulous. Facing his gentle gaze, I thought for a moment. Hudson, I need to tell you something. He paused, interrupting me before I could continue. Tell me after midnight today. We only celebrate your birthday. After he said that, he firmly handed me the tablet to order. Look at what you want to eat first. True. How big of a deal could it be? Really? I looked down for a moment. What? 2,000 yuan per person? Are you crazy? It's fine. How is this fine? Is this meal going to cost your entire 2-month living allowance? It doesn't matter. No. Let's change to another place. I already paid the deposit. The door to the private room was pushed open from outside at that moment. Emma, come home with me. Chapter 15. Ethan. He was still wearing the coat from the last time I saw him. He looked travel-worn, as if he'd been rushing around for a while, exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes. Cold mist followed him as he came in. His gaze swept quickly over Hudson and landed on me. I turned my head away. Didn't want to look at this lunatic. Hudson stood up, holding my hand. He positioned himself in front of me. His voice was gentle, yet carried a sense of authority. So, what do you want with my girlfriend? Girlfriend. Those words seemed to finally provoke the person standing across from us. Ethan lunged forward, grabbed Hudson by the collar. Are you insane? What did you call her? His tone was suppressed, angry, with a hint of frustration. Hudson. The veins on his wrist stood out, as if he was using all his strength. I'm telling you, the reason Emma confessed to you that day was because I told her to. Do you think she likes you? It's only because your face somewhat resembles that of the boy she grew up with. Hudson couldn't hold back anymore. He lifted his leg and kicked Ethan. The two of them quickly got into a fight. A perfectly good birthday celebration turned into this mess. Of course, I stood by my Hudson. I picked up a small potted plant and swung it at Ethan's back. Hey, how can you hit my boyfriend? To be honest, I've wanted to hit him for a long time. And at that moment, Ethan seemed to freeze. He slowly turned around, staring at me in a daze. His face showed confusion and helplessness. He said, Emma, what did you say? I had almost never seen Ethan like this. He took 2 steps back, leaned against the tea cabinet in the room. A glass fell. It hit his arm, leaving a long cut. Dark red blood dripped down, drop by drop. His head lowered. He looked sad, fragile, panicked, like a child abandoned by an adult, not saying a word. For a long while, it was Hudson who broke the silence. I don't know where you heard those rumors, but the boy who grew up with Emma, it's me. There was never anyone else. Ethan's head shot up. What are you saying? He's dead. The air was silent for a moment. I saw Hudson slowly sit down. He took a deep breath, covering his face. I know. It was Emma who saved me. Chapter 16. For the first time, I heard Hudson's story from his own mouth. It turns out that after the plane crash, he fell into a vegetative coma, but there was some luck involved. The rescue team took his identity information, blood type, and other details, and put them on a contact platform. They ended up finding his family. Back then, a strange machine voice echoed in his mind. You are the one Emma wants to save. Don't worry. As long as she completes our side character mission, you will wake up. So during that time, he could occasionally hear my voice. I can't believe I have to write a paper for that jerk Ethan. So annoying. When is the basketball game going to end? I still have to cheer for him. Hold on a bit longer. Emma, just 2 more tasks, and Leo will be back. Confess? Leo, you're coming back, right? A tear seeped out from between his fingers, slowly slid down Hudson's cheek. He put his hand down, and only then did I realize. At some point, his face had become covered in tears. Emma. Hudson took a deep breath. His voice trembled slightly. The moment you agreed to confess for someone else, I woke up from my hospital bed. At that moment, I thought, Am I really worth all this to you? Chapter 17. Ethan stood quietly in the corner. It was as if he had been blown by a cold wind. His face pale, a sighed from his fingers, curled up and still dripping blood. He didn't move at all. After a long while, he said nothing, suddenly turned around and left. And for a long time after that, I never saw him again. Hudson and I continued as usual, attending classes, leaving classes, dating. I was surprised to find out that his biological parents were actually the directors of Changhe Industries, the couple who built a business empire from scratch. Hudson nodded. I had read about them in financial magazines. Because of the accidents that happened to both of their children, they had gone abroad and had not returned for a long time. Hudson stroked my hair. They just returned to the country a few days ago. How about I take you home to meet them? I straightened up. They won't look down on me, will they? No way. Another reason the elderly couple returned to the country was to hand over the company's management rights to Hudson. They had bought a villa in the suburbs. They were keeping busy, planting flowers, growing vegetables, rescuing stray cats and dogs. When I went there, they had been preparing several dishes since early morning. Hudson's mother kept putting meat into my bowl, her gaze toward me gentle and warm. Emma, eat more. From now on, consider this your home, my own home. Hudson held my hand under the table, our fingers intertwined tightly. He smiled at me. Before graduation, I still stayed in the dorm. Hudson drove me back. When I got in, I noticed there was a new package on the table. My roommates were gathered, chatting. Hey, have you heard that Lisa got caught cheating on her professional course retake? Really? I've always felt she was a bit shady, a bit fake. The notice is already out. For her to fail a graduation exam like that, she'll definitely have her graduation delayed. And her rumored boyfriend Ethan, he's about to go abroad in the next few days too. What rumored boyfriend? It was clarified later. They had nothing to do with each other. One of them heard a noise and looked up at me. Emma? I was picking up my package. Saw your name on it. So I brought it back. I thanked her, picked it up and examined it closely. The sender's name was just E. After turning it over and over, it didn't seem like anything dangerous. So I used a knife to open it. A letter fell out. That day, the weather was nice. The night breeze blew in through the window, with scattered stars and a bright moon in the sky. The letter itself wasn't very long. The first line only had a few words. I am Ethan. A large blot of ink was smudged beneath it, as if he had hesitated for a long time before writing the next sentence. Emma, these past 2 years. I'm sorry. I often wonder if, in the past 2 years, I had treated you a bit better. If I hadn't asked you to do those unpleasant things, hadn't asked you to run errands, to confess on behalf of others, would you have been a little more hesitant to leave? I looked out the window. Suddenly I remembered that day of my birthday. When Ethan learned about Hudson and me, he leaned against the cabinet. His head lowered. His lips moved slightly. His voice was very quiet. He probably thought I hadn't heard. So what then, Emma? So these past 2 years. What did I mean? I slowly folded the letter, put it back. Just then, my phone rang. It was Hudson. His voice was gentle. Emma, when will you come to my house again? You just left. And my parents are already talking about you. I smiled as well. Sure. Tell me what they like. I'll bring something next time. The future is still long. Everything will get better.